Rommel, 2012, directed by Nicky Stein, is a German-made television film that portrays the final months of Field Marshal Erwin Rommel's life, offering a deeply reflective and historically grounded perspective on one of World War II's most controversial military figures. The film is anchored by Ulrich Tucker's remarkable performance, which captures Rommel's internal struggle, his moral dilemmas, and the weight of leadership during the waning days of Nazi Germany. Unlike traditional war films that focus on battlefield heroics and large-scale combat, Rommel takes a contemplative approach, emphasizing the psychological, ethical, and political dimensions of command. The film meticulously reconstructs the atmosphere of wartime Europe, with precise attention to period detail in costumes, military vehicles, and set design, contributing to its immersive quality. The narrative begins on October 14, 1944, the day when Rommel is presented with an ultimatum. He must either commit suicide or face trial before the Volksgerichtshof, the People's Court, which would almost certainly lead to execution. This framing device immediately sets the tone for a retrospective examination of Rommel's actions, decisions, and ethical struggles during the preceding months. Through flashbacks and chronological sequences, the film explores Rommel's appointment as commander of Army Group B, responsible for fortifying the French coast in anticipation of the Allied invasion. As he inspects the Atlantic Wall, Rommel is confronted with poorly trained troops, inadequate resources, and hastily constructed defenses. His repeated appeals for reinforcements and better equipment are largely ignored by Hitler and the German High Command, highlighting the bureaucratic dysfunction and ideological rigidity that hindered effective military decision-making in the Third Reich. One of the central strengths of Rommel is its nuanced depiction of the titular character. Tucker's portrayal emphasizes Rommel's intelligence, capability, and professional dedication, while simultaneously revealing his growing disillusionment with the Nazi leadership. Rommel is shown as a man of conscience, troubled by the atrocities committed by the SS and increasingly aware of the moral bankruptcy of Hitler's regime. His interactions with fellow officers, particularly General Hans Speidel, serve as crucial narrative devices that illuminate his internal conflict. Speidel acts as both confidant and intermediary, facilitating Rommel's contact with elements of the German resistance, while simultaneously challenging him to reconcile his sense of duty with his ethical reservations. Through these relationships, the film explores themes of loyalty, responsibility, and the limits of obedience in a totalitarian system. The film's emphasis on moral and psychological tension rather than battlefield spectacle provides a unique lens through which to view Rommel. Unlike films such as The Desert Fox, 1951, which tend to glorify his military exploits, Stein's Rommel presents a more humanized and introspective figure, one who is constantly weighing the demands of his profession against the realities of Nazi ideology. The Atlantic Wall inspections, planning meetings, and strategic debates are not mere procedural sequences. They are narrative devices that illustrate the immense pressure on Rommel as he navigates a collapsing military and moral landscape. Scenes depicting Rommel walking along under-equipped defensive positions, witnessing untrained soldiers attempting to construct fortifications, or reviewing intelligence reports convey a sense of frustration and inevitability that permeates the film. These moments underscore the tension between the ideals of professional military duty and the harsh realities imposed by Hitler's ideological and erratic leadership. Tucker's performance is complemented by a strong supporting cast. Benjamin Sadler, as General Speidel, provides a critical moral counterpoint, offering a perspective of cautious pragmatism and ethical concern. The depiction of Hitler, though brief, is unsettling, reinforcing the omnipresent threat of ideological rigidity and irrational decision-making. The interactions between Rommel and his subordinates reveal the human cost of command, the difficult choices, the sense of isolation, and the constant negotiation between survival, duty, and conscience. The film does not shy away from the tension inherent in Rommel's position. While he is often portrayed sympathetically, the narrative makes clear that he was complicit in the Nazi war effort and that his position carried inherent moral compromises. Thematically, Rommel delves into questions of morality, loyalty, and ethical responsibility under duress. Rommel's internal conflict reflects the broader dilemmas faced by many military officers in Nazi Germany, the tension between obedience to a lawful authority and the recognition of its criminal actions. The film encourages viewers to consider the ambiguity of ethical choices in times of war, demonstrating that heroism can take multiple forms, and that complicity is often complex and multifaceted. Stein avoids simplistic judgments, opting instead to present a man caught between personal ethics and professional duty, navigating the impossible circumstances created by Hitler's leadership and the rapidly deteriorating military situation. One of the notable aspects of the film is its meticulous attention to historical accuracy, both in terms of events and visual authenticity. The depiction of the Atlantic Wall, the logistical challenges, and the military planning sessions reflects careful research and consultation with historians. The dialogue and character interactions are often informed by historical records, memoirs, and contemporary accounts, giving the narrative a sense of credibility. The film also touches upon the contested historical debates surrounding Rommel, including his awareness of the July 20th assassination plot against Hitler, his moral stance on Nazi atrocities, and the extent to which he attempted to mitigate harm. While the film suggests a certain degree of sympathy for Rommel, it does not entirely absolve him, instead presenting a figure of nuanced complexity. Critically, Rommel has been praised for its intellectual depth, historical grounding, and strong performances, while some have noted its limitations. The deliberate pacing, emphasis on dialogue, and lack of conventional action sequences may be challenging for viewers expecting traditional war cinema. The reserved portrayal of Rommel, while thematically consistent, can create emotional distance, and some secondary characters are less fully developed, appearing only briefly to serve narrative purposes. Additionally, the film's sympathetic portrayal of Rommel has sparked discussion regarding historical representation and the potential for cinematic narratives to influence public perception of morally complex figures. Despite these criticisms, the film succeeds in conveying the pressures and dilemmas faced by Rommel during the final stages of the war. Scenes depicting his frustration with inadequate defenses, his attempts to influence Hitler's strategic decisions, and his moral deliberations with Spido create a compelling portrait of leadership under crisis. The tension between personal conscience and professional obligation is heightened in moments where Rommel is forced to confront the consequences of his actions, or inaction, on his soldiers and the broader war effort. The film also highlights the human dimension of warfare, the isolation of command, the fear and uncertainty experienced by subordinates, and the weight of decisions that can determine life and death. The historical and cultural significance of Rommel lies not only in its depiction of one man but also in its exploration of the moral landscape of World War II. By focusing on the internal struggles of a military leader, the film invites reflection on the broader implications of duty, obedience, and resistance. It emphasizes that the choices of individuals, even those in positions of great authority, are often constrained by circumstance, ideology, and personal conscience. In doing so, the film provides a lens through which contemporary audiences can engage with questions of ethical responsibility, leadership, and historical memory. In conclusion, Rommel, 2012, is a thought-provoking and meticulously crafted examination of a controversial historical figure. Through Ulrich Tucker's compelling performance, Stein's careful direction, and the nuanced screenplay, the film presents a complex portrait of Erwin Rommel, highlighting both his professional achievements and moral ambiguities. By focusing on the psychological, ethical, and political dimensions of his final months, the film offers a perspective that is both historically grounded and intellectually engaging. While it may not satisfy viewers seeking conventional war action, its strength lies in its depth of characterization, historical fidelity, and thematic richness. Rommel challenges audiences to reconsider the legacy of one of World War II's most iconic figures, offering a meditation on the interplay between duty, conscience, and the harsh realities of life under a totalitarian regime. Ultimately, it stands as a significant contribution to the cinematic exploration of history, ethics, and leadership, reminding viewers that the choices of individuals in times of conflict are rarely simple and often fraught with moral complexity.